Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the semi-finals in the Mount Kenya region, and we cannot wait to crown the winners for this particular region. Joining us today, we have Baricho Boys High School versus Weithaga Boys High School, and their motion of dissection reads, individual responsibility is more crucial than government interventions in mitigating environmental impacts of single-use plastic bags. I'll read the motion of dissection again. Individual responsibility is more crucial than government intervention in mitigating environmental impacts of single-use plastic bags. All the best to both teams. Team proposition first speaker, you have 3 minutes.
Every individual matters. Every individual has a role to play. Every individual makes a difference. This is a quote by Jane Goodall, and I am Samuel Rodney from the Baricho High School, here to vehemently propose the motion that individual responsibility is more crucial than government intervention in mitigating environmental impacts of single-use plastic bags. Do note that the motion is they are more crucial. We do not say that the government has no role to play, but the part of the individuals is what matters, what really matters. They have a bigger role to play. Allow me to start by giving you the definitions of the key terms in the motion. Responsibility derived from 2 words, respond and ability. Your ability to respond to what you know. And the government intervention, this means that this is government involvement through effective policies and programs, mitigating, reducing, or limiting, crucial, key, pivotal, or deciding. To my first point, I'll start with a statistic. The Kenya Bureau of Statistics noted in 2020 that only 60% of plastic pollution had been curbed. And do note that 2020 is when the government was really bringing robust measures in order to reduce plastic pollution, including the overwhelming file of over 20,000 for those who are found with such bags. Regardless, they only solved 60%. Why? The point is related to government ineffectiveness. I'll quote from a book that all of you are doing, Fathers of Nation. To prosper, we need to temper our view of reality to what it actually is. Yes, you will come and tell us how the government is good, it's trying to do this and this and this. We don't want what the government is trying to do, we want what it is doing. And currently it has been very ineffective in the same. For example, it did try to ban the plastic bags, which actually failed. In reality, most of you here are examples. Most of you here, when you go back at home, I'm pretty sure you have a plastic bag or 2, yet it is banned. True or true? True. And you cannot expect to do the same things the same way and expect different results. The government had its chance and it blundered it. Why are we giving it more chances? It has been 4 years. The plastic bags are still an issue. It is still up to debate, even where I stand, debating about the same issues that was supposed to have ended 4 years ago when the government put the measures in place. Now I'll tell you how personal intervention is actually the way to go. Pollution, the effect or the environmental effects of plastic bags on the environment is actually because of I drop a paper, you drop a paper, he drops a paper. Collectively, that leads to this actually leads to the negative environmental impacts. And individually caused problems should also be solved on the individual line. So we can relate it to, individual caused programs should be solved individually. I'll end with a quote. 90% of the waste plastic is due to individual. This is due to a UNEP report on the conservation of the environment and its effects of single-use plastic bags. Thank you.
Proposing the motion. Individual responsibility is not, I repeat, is not more crucial than government intervention in mitigating environmental impacts of single-use plastic bags. First of all, let me familiarize the audience with the topic. What do we mean by individual responsibility? According to Harvard Kennedy School, individual responsibility refers to the duty or obligation of individuals to take actions toward positive outcomes. And what about government intervention? Before government intervention, what do we mean by the term government? A government is a group of people who are responsible for controlling a state or a country. And what about government intervention? Government intervention, according to the Oxford 10th edition dictionary, is the action taken by government to influence or regulate activities within the society. Last but not least, what do we mean by mitigating environmental impacts? According to the UN Environmental Program of 2017, it says that mitigating environmental impacts means reducing the extent of something. In this case, the environmental impacts of single-use plastic bags. On to my first point. I believe that the government is more effective than individual responsibility. Why? Research done or report by the American government states that imposing an 18-cent tax on single-use plastic bags has led to a 90% reduction in usage of plastic bags within only 9 months. So we see that the government, in this term, the government of America was also more crucial or also more effective than individual responsibility. Because if it had not imposed the taxation, the individuals will not have stopped using single-use plastic bags in large numbers. So, according to my view, when you tell me individual responsibility is more crucial, I really don't think it is. So, please consider your opinions. I rest my case. Thank you.
I think you need two of these to bring out your points more clearly. It's the little things that citizens do that matter. My little thing is planting trees. A quote by the famous Wangari Maathai, founder of the Green Belt movement. First of all, I'd like to rebuttal, but it's not possible because I weigh more than your points. They do not hold water. Now, let me go to my points. According to the United Nations Environmental Program 2020 report titled Plastics versus Gen Z, it was noted that since 2022, there has been a reduction of single-use plastic bags by 68.54%. This means that 68.54 billion, yes, billion, single-use plastics bags have been eradicated from the environment. The United Nations Environmental Program accounted for this magnanimous contribution to individuals, not to any governments. I hope you've heard that. Some of these individuals, I'll give an example. The first one is a beautiful lady from Denmark who is known as Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg is the founder of the Cry for Climate Foundation. This foundation has done more than any other government will ever do in eons. Just in a period of 7.5 months, Greta Thunberg and her 6 million followers cleaned up beaches and the amount of cleanup they did reduced the amount of plastic bags and single-use plastic waste from the beaches by 100. They reduced the waste by 100%, so not by 100 million. Let's come back to Kenya, our motherland. There is this Maasai queen known as Anita Soina. Anita Soina is the author of a book known as The Green War. The Green War is a book followed by many, many youths in our country, apart from you, who
who are sensitized on the importance of avoiding the use of single-use plastics and conserving the environment. Anita Soina has also begun their Soina Foundation, akin to Greater Than Bugs Cry for Climate Foundation, which has helped not only in beach cleanups, but cleanups of rivers in the interior areas. For example, recently, I think March 23rd, this year, yes, 2024, Anita Soina and the members of the Soina Foundation merged and went to the western side in Yala and Bunyala swamps and cleaned up the waste, the amount of waste that was there. On to my next point, viral campaigns. Viral campaigns by individuals, for example, hashtags and challenges can go viral, spreading messages quickly and engaging a wide audience. Campaigns like hashtag Beat Plastics Pollution by the President of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has really helped in the reduction of plastic waste in Ghana and most part of Africa. Thank you.
I do believe in numbers, because statistics never lie. According to what our brethren has just said from our first proposer, he wants to know what the government has done. And let me tell you, the government has banned the single use of plastic bags. My name is Gabriel Rongo from the Great Weithaga Boys High School, here opposing the motion that states individual responsibility is not more crucial than the government intervention in mitigating environmental impacts of single-use plastic bags. And to my first point, addressing market failures. According to the statistic done by the McDonnell Environmental Economics 2021 says that government intervention can correct market failures by implementing economic instruments like taxes, levies. In an example, a country like Ireland, which introduced the levy, it led to 90% reduction in plastic use within 1 year of implementation. Before then, according also to the statistics, over 1.2 billion plastic bags were used annually. This number dropped to 200 million. We can see what the government has done. Yes? Also, we can look at a country like Denmark. A country like Denmark introduced taxation the taxation on plastic bags in 1993. This, according to the statistics also done by the McDonnell Environmental 2021, says that the taxation resulted to reduction of plastic bag usage to up to 60%. By this, by the levy which was introduced, it helped the other sectors of the government, e.g., the environmental factors. Yes? And to my next point, environmental impacts and persistence. Statistics done by the National Plastic Bag Pollution 2020 says that plastic bags can persist in the environment for hundreds of years because these plastic bags can be broken down into microplastics which can contaminate soil. We all know what you can use with soil, yes? Of course. By this, we can know that the government did something. Also, on carbon footprint, if you did your research very well, you can be familiarized with what I'm saying. Now, carbon footprint, according to the National Plastic Bag Pollution 2020, says that plastic bags are made of fossil fuels, crude oil, natural gas, which are non-renewable resources. Now, these bags can harm the environment, yes? I do believe so. Thank you.
I know you might wonder why I had to go that low. Well, I was trying to fathom what their points were stating. Now, let's get straight to the chase. Why is individual responsibility more crucial than government intervention in mitigating environmental impacts of single-use plastics? So, my first point is actually an answer to your question, empowerment and accountability. So, what happens by empowering the citizens? We empower them by helping them to learn and understand what they can do through through conserving the environment. So once they learn this, they're able to feel a sense of responsibility for taking care of their environment. In addition to that, it fosters a sense of accountability by which the individual feel the need to take care of the environment. That's not something we need the government to do for us, isn't it? So, according to the Center of Biological Diversity, on March 22nd, the year 2023, it showed that in US alone, 100 billion bags have been used and 1% has been recycled. So how can that change? Let's empower these people. They become accountable, and the 100 billion bags will be able to be recycled, thus increasing the percentage of bags recycled. I'll just like to quote Mahatma Gandhi and say, be the change you wish to see in this world. Now, the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone can save it for us. So, the government will pick it for me, but I learned accountability, so I will be able to take care of my environment. That is why I urge you not to depend on the government, because depending on the government makes us lazy, a parasite, and a dead weight. So we should learn on how to depend on ourselves by taking care of our environment. Secondly, I'd like to tell you about global reach. The individual pull transcends borders. It transcends borders through social media, isn't it? So when we expect the government is limited by jurisdiction. We will ban the plastic bags, but it will only benefit our country, leaving alone our friends in Uganda, Tanzania, so that will make us selfish, perhaps. And I heard you say about the government ban on the newspapers. I'd like to tell you, it was mainly a success because it was driven by public awareness and advocacy. So I'd like to end and tell you, opposing this motion is actually opposing yourself as an individual, where you expect someone else to do everything you're supposed to do for yourself. Lewis Peter, an elite student from the Baricho High School. Thank you.
Memories bring back 2017. In 2017, the government of Kenya banned the usage of plastic bags. You do know that, right? You don't know? Go watch the news. Now, according to statistics, since that day, 2017, there has been 50% reduction in the usage of plastics, making our country even cleaner. I recall, since before they made that policy, we were polluting here and there. Who thought of picking those papers? No one. Here, this year, another there, till became pollutants of the country. We became a polluted country. Thanks to the government, thanks to it, now we are more clean. You can be proud when you go out to America and say, wow, I come from Kenya. A clean country. At least it's a clean country. I come from Kenya. Now, you said you wanted to go low. Let me bring back to our school here. Buy that Indomie stock there. They're full of, what do you call these? Plastic plates. Why don't you go low and collect them yourself? Go low and collect them yourself. No one has thought of taking them like this and putting them in a trash bin. Nobody has thought of it. No one. They are waiting for the school principal to go and say, cleaners, please come clean this mess. Please, I beg of you. Please. Have you thought of collecting it yourself? No, you haven't. And as for that question, yes, industries are run by individuals. But who controls the industries? Who controls the industries? The government does. So the government does take part, actually takes the biggest percentage according to statistics, the government has an 80% chance of making Kenya clean than individuals. You said about Soila, sorry. Yes, many youths are there, but how many are responsible enough to go and take that piece of plastic plate? Let me say it. So, my fellow students, join the government. Join it. The government has done more in reducing plastics. Take Rwanda, for example. They banned the usage of plastics in 2008. Now their country is the cleanest country in Africa. Have you heard of any individuals mentioned there? I mentioned the government, not individuals. The government made that policy. It banned the usage of plastics. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, let's allow the government to do its work. Since Ellen MacArthur once said, individual actions are not enough. We need collective actions and government policies to address the plastic pollution crisis. I rest my case.
Thank you, brother, for supporting my point and telling other people to collect the plastic papers. So by collecting them, it's actually individual responsibility. So how is the government helping us? See the level of incompetence that they're showcasing. Okay, you said about Nairobi River. Let me ask you something about the Nairobi River. Since the banning in 2017, how has Nairobi River been clean? I'd like you to enlighten me on that. Also, check your facts. UNEP in 2023 stated that Rwanda is the cleanest country, not Kenya. Sorry. And thank you. Thank you again for proving your weakness and showing the people that individual responsibility is actually what matters. Thank you, people.
Rwanda is the cleanest country in Africa. But what if Kenya followed the example made by Rwanda? Kenya will become one of the cleanest countries in Africa. So maybe check on that point. And seems that you did not read the motion quite well. Did you? Let me read it for you once again. Let me read it. It seems like you forgot a place. Individual responsibility. That's why you are. Individual responsibility. But thank you so much for coming to this side. Maybe you can convince your brothers there to come to this side. The government, as you're saying my statistics are wrong, actually they are correct. Very much correct. Take a country like Nairobi, especially in my home area. It was very dirty. Very dirty. But now, I can walk proudly saying I'm in an estate because it's very clean. Thanks to our government. Not any individual there thought of going to clean that place. Thanks to the government. And that I, Lewis Ndegwa, proudly propose the motion that states individual responsibility is not crucial than government intervention in mitigating environmental impact of single-use plastic bags.
All right, I think we have appreciated them. Thank you so much. That was a good debate. I listened to you all through, and I think you're both strong teams. You deserve to be at the semifinals, which is good. When I look at your points, let me start with Baricho. Samuel, you said that government banned plastic bags and they're still in use, or it's still an issue, which was a narration. So you started off your team by giving us a narration of what's going on. And I felt like you took a lot of time just narrating to us a lot of the things that are happening without giving us facts. Vis-a-vis when we looked at Marcus and Lewis Peter, they had very good facts. So it was important for you that when you're speaking, don't just generalize by defining the terms and everything else, but what's your issue? That would have been very important. Yes, you defined the terms, which is good for you, but it took time building the case and explaining. When I come to Felix, on the other hand as well, you spoke very well, and when defining, I think you should just learn to pick the key terms. Are we together? picking key terms means this. When you look at this motion, for example, let me just open it up. The key term here is individual responsibility. The other key term is government intervention. So you don't have to define, first of all, government and then talk about intervention. Are we together? It can be a term by itself in a group, so it can save time. Within 1 minute, it should be done to give submissions. So I felt like you took a lot of time on that, which was a bit a weakening point to your team. You said 90% reduction of single-use plastic bags in 9 months has been achieved. It's a very strong fact, but you didn't give us where it came from, all right? So every fact needs to be authenticated. Back to Marcus now in Baricho. Marcus, I think you're quite outstanding. However, you overutilized your time. That was penalized, all right? So you spoke and gave some very good examples. For example, you say the UN report that you quoted, 68.54%. Once you say that percent, you also said 68.54 billion. So it's like, what is it? Is it percentage or is it a billion or what is it? Are they the same? I don't know. So you don't want to mix that up, okay? But it was a very strong fact that you're giving us, all right? Very good points, the Anita story and all that. And I like the example you give us about the viral campaigns that could be done. Good examples. Now, to the other side, Gabriel, your role is cross-examination. Remember that, all right? You can learn that from Marcus. So you talked about addressing market failures, and you give a very good example as well of Denmark. Good example. But what did the government do? Yes, you gave that example, but I want you to constantly remember, always authenticate. But I thought you're outstanding for your team very well. You talked about environmental impact and persistence. What I feel you can add, just as a slight thing, is your delivery. That would be powerful if you did that, all right?